Alright, so our code starts off with the usual, including the servo, because we're using servo motors, and we initialized all our variables here, including our image, all our ankles, x and y's, all that stuff. As well, we called our servos, and then we start in our void setup loop, and we set up our serial monitor, attached our servo motors, and since we're using a random number, we had to have a random seed, and so we put that in our setup loop, as well as our pin for our button. And then in our void loop, we write to our servo motors are the positions we want, and as well we take in the digital read for the button pin. This is mostly just for testing. Yes, so if the button state is high, so if the button is pressed on our machine, it will start by picking a random number, and with that random number, it will take one of the lists from. Yeah, it will pick one of the lists from the list. So you see we can either have a dog image, image of a heart, a yin-yang, ghost, or Spider-Man. So you see it's just if that number is picked, then it'll pick, the image will be that particular image. So we have Spider-Man, and lastly a skull. So that's 6 images, I believe, in total. Yes, 6. Okay, so then we just wrote to the serial monitor the random number just to test it out. And then we start with our drawing code. So it writes to the servo motors the positions. And then the first loop, it moves loop right over here, it just moves the gear that moves the paper up and down. And then our second loop inside of our loop, right over, oh, sorry, this was the first loop, this is the second loop. And the second loop, it moves the pen across the paper. And then each time it moves it across, so each time it goes through the second loop, it's like it's going through each element of the multi-dimensional list. And so, yeah, this is just the position, the x, y, and then if it's equal to 1, that's when the pen knows it has to draw, and it just moves the pen up and down with the motor that is attached, so the third motor. And then it just takes it back from the beginning all the way until it exits the second loop, and it goes back into the first loop, and it moves to the next line of the multi-dimensional list. And then once it's done, it is finished, and you can go, it just goes back to the top and keeps looping until the button is pressed again.